last of 12 Group 1s for the Hong Kong season takes place this Sunday at Sha Tin. Here's what's coming up on HK Direct this time. And the feature is the Group 1 Standard Chartered Champions and Chater Cup. Tony Cruz has got 3 of the 5 runners in the race, plus we've got an international challenger. But the headline act for the race is Pakistan Star. And joining me in the studio is the man who bought him, Mark Richards. Welcome to the show.
Thanks very much indeed, Edward. Yes, it all seems like a long while ago now, but it's very, very exciting to look forward to the weekend and fingers crossed, hopefully winning a second Group 1 international. Well,
we'll quantify a long while ago. It was nearly 4 years ago that you bought Pakistan Star.
Yep.
You look at a lot of horses in your role. What attracted you to him?
It was very much a team effort, as it always is. You don't find horses easily. It's generally somebody that alerts you to them in the first place. He alerted himself, of course, because of his page. He was a Shamadal. We were in the middle of Abel Friend's fantasies and what he was going through at the time. And Shamadal's always been a leading sire, particularly for us here in Hong Kong. However, this horse was a German-bred horse that was at the Arcana sale in August. That's the August yearling sale. And the sale was meant to start on the Saturday. He was actually selling on the Sunday. Friday, he still hadn't turned up, and we were starting to think that he was going to be a no-show. Eventually, he did turn up, and we were very fortunate to have CEO Winfried Engelbrecht-Bress on hand as well, because he was able to speak a bit of German to the breeder, or certainly the guy that brought him there, and got a little bit of insight there as well. But he was a unique horse. He was very underprepared. He was fat, and when I say fat, literally, his belly rolled from side to side. He had the outline, he had the frame. It was a coat hanger without the coat clothes being put on him. Very much up behind, so you knew there was a lot of growing to come with him. A big sun-bleached coat. I mean, he'd just been so quietly prepared, and that's the way that the farm he came off in Germany liked to produce their horses. But he was very much one of those gems that needed an awful lot of polishing. And
you mentioned he was a unique horse. He's still a very unique horse in his time here. For everyone involved with him and all his fans, it's been a roller coaster ride.
Oh, unbelievably so, yeah. I mean, I think the one thing we always knew was he was a horse with plenty of talent. He started to show that very early on in his preparation. Malcolm Bastard, who prepares all our European horses, said, listen, this horse could be anything. He's got a real engine. But then when he got here to Hong Kong, he didn't settle in immediately. He was just a little bit second look at everything that was going on. He wasn't used to training on a track. He wasn't used to going under the track with the underpasses. So there were a lot of things that he had to deal with. And then, of course, it's become famous what he did on the actual breeze up day itself. Now, on that particular occasion, I think Malcolm Bastard ran a quarter of a mile as fast as he did. But he stopped at the first set of fans that were down by the 1,400-metre start. Got him past that, ran him, literally. He took off, he went 100 yards, stopped again at the next sort of fans, which were by the 1,200-metre start. So it was, I originally felt that was the problem, and then he seemed to get over it. And then, lo and behold, yes, he comes back and does what he has now done, and is now famous almost as much for that as for his sweeping finishes.
Is that always going to be an issue for him, the stopping, do you think?
Listen, you never know. He's a horse, and horses will make fools of you and will do things you don't expect them to do exactly when you don't expect them to do it. It's why we can never be complacent. You just constantly got to remember, these are not machines. These are not motorbikes or cars. These are living animals that have an own mind, and generally the better of them have a little bit of quirkiness about them.
All right, well, the reason we've got you in the studio is because he lines up on Sunday in the Standard Chartered Champions and Chater Cup. He's the top-rated horse in a field of 5 that will compete over 2,400 metres. The race is worth $10 million. Tommy Berry will take the ride for the first time under race conditions. Chemical Charge is the British visitor. We'll hear from Oisin Murphy shortly. Gold Mount chased Pakistan Star in the QE2 Cup. Eagle Way started as favourite in this race last year, and Exultant won the Queen Mother Memorial Cup over this course and distance earlier on in the month. Let's have a look then at a few galloping clues here, Mark, and considering all the ups and downs, here's the QE2 Cup. What was it like for you to watch this and watch Pakistan Star? Here he is. You've also got Eagle Way contesting this race. Out behind him, Gold Mount made up ground. But what was it like for you to watch your horse win an international Group 1?
I wish I'd been here for it, actually. I was currently in South Africa when this was being played, so it was an early morning enjoyment. I screamed my head off, absolutely. I was just a little bit hesitant before he went through that gap, but my word, the turn of foot he showed, that is the class of a Group 1 horse. It was great to hear afterwards William Buick say he's got gears. I think we've always known that. You don't close off with his sectionals without having an exceptional engine. I'm just pleased he showed the rest of the world that it's still there. It might have been in idle earlier on this season, but that was anything other than idle.
Is he capable of showing that turn of foot over 2,400 metres, do you think?
I hope so. I know a lot of people think he should improve for the trip, but he's the only horse in the race on the weekend yet to prove himself at 1.5 miles. All the others have proved themselves at 1.5 miles. I don't know where the pace is going to come from. I do think he's a horse best coming off the speed. When a horse has got to turn a foot like that, you've got to keep them in neutral for as long as possible. Remember, all jockeys, they're trying to put a horse into neutral as soon as possible so you're conserving energy for the business end of the race, which is where he generally does his best work. So I think ideally he would like a lead, but then his barrier trial the other day, when Tommy Berry rode him, he was very prominent throughout and quickened away from them. So I do have it in the back of my mind that 1.5 miles may be a problem. I hope it isn't.
You mentioned his page before. As far as the type of horse he would be, what did his page say to you? Did that suggest there would be stamina there?
Well, he's out of a Pontra Celeb mare, so yes, you would guess there should be enough stamina there. Certainly 2,000-metre form through and through. And I think in what is likely to be a slowly run race, whatever, he should be able to run out 1.5 miles anyway under those conditions.
OK, we've heard from Mark, who, of course, played a major role in buying Pakistan Star. Let's hear from his trainer, Tony Cruz, on what it's like to train this horse.
You know, you got to prepare for his surprises, you see. So mentally, he likes to chase horses. So this race, you know, there's no pace on this race, you know. So maybe Exalted, he's also a front runner. He's only got 1 speed, but he's definitely a 1.25 type of, 1.5 miles type of horse. And so is Gold Mount. These two horses were really real stayers, you know. He's got to have some pace on this race, you know.
So would you see Exalted as the potential leader in the race then?
It's a possibility too, yeah. Because I don't want having surprises with, you know, Pakistan Star going in the front and he pulls himself up. We couldn't put up with that kind of nonsense, you know. But anyway, it's a very slow run race, you know. I don't think there's any speed at all on any of these horses, you know.
OK, there's Tony Cruz. Can you see Exalted leading?
Yeah, I can, particularly the way he went last time. They weren't afraid to commit him a long way from home. He's proven over 1.5 miles. I would have thought he was very likely to go forward. Perhaps not from the get-go, but he's drawn 1. Pakistan Star's drawn 2. He's going to get that opportunity if he wants to take it. So I can certainly see him going on halfway down the back at the very latest. OK, so there's Exalted there. Eagle Way also comes out of the Queen Mother Memorial Cup. Form has been franked somewhat on a lower level by Prawn Barbo, who won on Wednesday night. This is Group 3 form. How do you think it'll measure up in a Group 1? I really don't think it should be good enough. That's my opinion. I've got a little bit more regard, dare I say it, for the overseas contender, purely because I think what he did in December in the Vase was a good effort. But you take nothing away from Exalted here. He absolutely spaced them. He's done everything right. He's put in very few poor runs since he's arrived in Hong Kong, and he's fully deserving of being in the field. He's a proper 1.5 mile horse, so that's why I expect them to play there and show their hand. OK, so a major hand for Tony Cruz in the race. You mentioned, though, the overseas horse, Chemical Charge, coming into the race, of course, from the UK. We tried to get Oisin Murphy on the show. Logistically, that wasn't possible because he's flying here to Hong Kong, but we can hear from him. He sent us this message earlier in the week.
Hi everyone, Oisin Murphy here. Looking forward to riding in Hong Kong this weekend. I've got some good rides and I've picked up a few spares, so it's great. Chemical Charge is obviously my biggest ride of the day, and you know, he goes into the race in good form. We're happy with him at home. I've ridden him out a few times, and you know, I think he's fresh and well. Small field, only 5 runners. Pakistan Star would probably be hard to beat, but obviously he can be a little bit difficult sometimes in his races. He did win very well with William Buick last start. Exultant, tough horse, has good form. Gold Mount we know very well from Royal Ascot. He won before transferring to Hong Kong, and he's done pretty well. I think I have a good chance. Hopefully we go there with very strong form and we can get the job done. Thank you.
And thanks to O'Sheen for passing on that video message. Great to have a British challenger in this race, mate.
Of course it is. It's always good to have international challenges when you've got an international race, and it's certainly all the better for having him in it. I'd just be very interested to see how they want to ride him. I think he was as much off the speed in December here.
Let's just have a look at that. Of
Absolutely.
Course, behind them here, we've also got Gold Mount, Eagle Way. Ran 4th. We know that he's capable against Highland Real, Talismanic, Toast and Basil. So they're 3 pretty strong horses to be finishing behind.
They're genuine Group 1 horses, international Group 1 horses. He certainly deserves his place in the field, but they rode him from the back here. He's not always been ridden from the back. There's often he's been ridden far more prominently in races. Now, whether that was just because he wasn't quick out of the gates or the draw or whatever, but I really don't expect him to be sitting last. I don't think that plays into his strengths either. He's another 1.5 mile horse. He's proven it at group level abroad. My only slight concern with him is that disappointing run in Qatar last time out. Obviously, he hadn't raced since Sha Tin in December. Maybe he just needed to blow out the cobwebs. But I've got a lot of respect for him.
Putting your jockey cap on, if you're O'Sheen Murphy, would you come out here and try to take the bull by the horns, given there's no apparent pace in the race?
Not sure they would want to go and commit themselves in that sort of way. But if they think he can be ridden that prominently, yeah, I think it needs to be made a proper 1.5 mile race. For my mind, if they're going to beat Pakistan Star, because he's going to outsprint anything that he's run against so far, and I don't see anything in this race that can beat his final sectionals.
This is the final Group 1 for our season here in Hong Kong. We heard last time after he won the QE2 Cup Pakistan Star the words Royal Ascot mentioned. Doesn't look like that's likely, but on the world stage, if he was to travel, hypothetically, where do you think a horse like Pakistan Star would stand up?
It could go anywhere. As far as I'm concerned, from what I heard from William Buick afterwards, from everybody that has a clock here and tells me the sectionals that he's been able to run, he's a Group 1 performer anywhere you want to go in the world. It would be great to have a runner in something like the Arc de Triomphe come October. That wouldn't be out of competition, so to speak. But, of course, it would be right at the beginning of our season, and I'm sure they're not going to waste a run there. But who knows, Royal Ascot next year? That may become a possibility once we know it can be on the roadmap.
Busy times for your good self. March, we had the international sale. Son of Holy Roman Emperor topped the sale at $11 million.
Yep.
We've got another sale coming up in June.
Yep.
17 lots is the next.
Hopefully, yes.
All right. Touch wood.
I'm always keeping my fingers crossed, absolutely, because until they actually get there on the day, horses have nasty habits of doing injury to themselves, no matter how much cotton wool you wrap them up in. But yes, looking forward to the June sale enormously. Not quite the numbers as we had earlier on in March, but I have to say I was very, very happy with the March sale, and good to see a couple of those horses coming out. We've got the first 2 runners actually this weekend in the Griffin race and race 2. Hope they put a prominent show up for us, but no, pretty happy where we are at the moment.
Have you got another Pakistan Star?
Fingers crossed. Certainly the feedback from the trainers thus far say we've got a few that go well, so let's just hope they follow through. OK, well, Mark, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. Just before we leave, here's the details for Sunday's coverage. A huge 11-race card coming up at Sha Tin, and Trackside Live coverage starts at 12 o'clock. 12:30 is the first race. We've got 2 features on the card. The Sha Tin Vase for the sprinters, a Group 3 level, is the first of those, race 4. And then the Group 1 Standard Chartered Champions and Chater Cup worth $10 million is the big one, race 8. For more information, go to the website hkjc.com. You'll be able to get a full preview of the meeting with the Racing to Win team. And then you can always follow everything that's going on in Hong Kong racing through Twitter at HKJC_racing. OK, that's it for the show today. Mark, thanks for your time. Good luck with Pakistan Star and with the June sale. Pleasure to have been here. Thank you.
Thanks to Mark Richards for joining us on this edition of HK Direct. It's going to be a wonderful day of racing coming up at Sha Tin on Sunday. We hope you can join us for all the day, but until then, it's goodbye.